Alternative Digital. Real issues, real talk.
And welcome to the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. It is the 8th day of April. The year is 2025. I welcome you to Uganda's most informative morning show, where we get to have conversations that we believe are building Uganda for the better. I tell you that this country, we have found it here, and of course we're just having custody of it, and we shall also be leaving it for the next generation. The question is, how best or how better have you left the world, or how different really is the world with you in it? This morning, as you may well know, I have a gentleman from the National Unity Platform. He is the head of tertiary institutions, especially in that political party. So he is always at the helm of traversing various universities and tertiary institutions to just make National Unity Platform vibrant in that particular area. In the previous experiences, we've seen the National Unity Platform sweep a couple of universities starting from the year 2018. Dr. Robert Chagulanyi Center and the National Unity Platform has been really pivotal in winning guild presidential elections, especially in different tertiary institutions. Now, the new phenomenon is they have been losing in a few universities. What may have been causing this, and maybe what can the National Unity Platform do, especially if they are to regain these particular institutions once again. I'll be asking those particular questions, but before I delve into that conversation with David Musiri, in fact, he is also an MP aspirant for the Makindia West constituency seat. I'll be also asking him what he has in store for us, because ironically we are actually in his constituency, so I can say without fear or favor I'm his voter. So I'm not asking only as a journalist, but I'm also asking as a concerned citizen who will have to cast his ballot come next year. But in other news, we have the World Health Day was yesterday, and Uganda joined the rest of the world to commemorate this particular day. And one interesting statistic that looks positive on Uganda's social ecosystem is that 40% of maternal deaths have been reduced in Uganda. That means of every 100 kids that are born, 40 of them get to live. So that means we are changing the narrative, especially in this part of Africa. And some of the regions that had been affected by child mortality were the Rwenzori region, Bunyoro also, and some parts of northern Uganda. But as we're speaking today, as we commemorate the World Health Day yesterday, or as we commemorated it, we realize that there is an improvement in the infrastructure, especially of women who are giving birth. That is something that we look forward to. Then yesterday, Digital TV had the privilege of hosting General Mugisha Muntu, who is a founding member for the Alliance for National Transformation, ANT political party, and he outrightly expressed that they will be taking part in the electoral process of this country. Speaking on the hotline show with me last night, he showed his insights and of course vision, and he says that the best way of changing a government is really by not boycotting elections, but taking part in the electoral process, not only as the election day or the event, but he says that this is something that should be done subsequently, because he believes in building structures that may change how this country is being operated. That is General Mugisha Muntu for you. Yesterday, we were with him right here on the hotline show. Then maybe I'll just end with some, just a sad story. 7 people are missing after a boat capsized in Lake Victoria yesterday. This boat was particularly carrying some goods like charcoal, and 7 of the people who were aboard that particular boat unfortunately are still missing up to today, after what I've told you the capsize of that boat. This is not the first time that many people lose their lives, especially when they are traveling on Uganda's water bodies. Then lastly, I'll just give you a hint of Champions League as we enter the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. Today, action will be returning, and I think we shall be seeing the Bayern Munich or Bayern München taking on Inter Milan at exactly 10 p.m. This evening. Then Arsenal, the Gunners, will be taking on Real Madrid. The first leg will be at the Emirates Stadium, and we shall hope for the best. Remember, the Champions League was last won by Real Madrid. That was last season, and it is the biggest club in world football with over 14 Champions League titles. Arsenal goes head to head with these gallant Galacticos, and yet Arsenal has not yet won a UEFA Champions League. Last time they were there, it was 2006 finals, where Barcelona under Pep Guardiola and Lionel Messi were able to be crowned champions of that particular campaign. We shall find out how this will go about, but many people have their own versions of what best or how different Arsenal can take on this particular endeavor. And just a quick one, Arsenal last played Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League in that particular year on the semi-finals in 2006, and Thierry Henry was very pivotal in making sure that they are finalists in that year. Lots of luck to Arsenal and the Gunners. Then tomorrow, we shall be having Barcelona, Barca taking on Borussia Dortmund, and PSG will be taking on Aston Villa. It will be interesting when Barcelona takes on Dortmund. Remember Lewandowski, the maestro of Barcelona, was a nemesis in Dortmund, and he has a lot of records right there. So how will it go down? Please do tune in today or tonight at exactly 10 p.m. UEFA Champions League football will be returning to your screen. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. Allow me to welcome our guest for this morning. I'm privileged to be having David Musiri from the National Unity Platform. You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you, Karuhanga. To viewers, it's a pleasure to be here. This is my first time in the new place. It is kind of yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of the things I would want to start with, one is to welcome back our council, Council Aaron Chiza from Tertiarly prison.
Yes.
Yeah, and probably we are seeing results. But also I want to thank everyone who stood with him in that kind of advocacy. I totally believe that even those files, they say are hundreds of files that they are still failing to transfer to the courts that they are supposed to be, they will come out. But nevertheless, we must not keep quiet, because I know that we have had prisoners, for example, the Yasin Machete and colleagues have been there for over 4 years. It is coming to 5 years. Therefore, we cannot relent. We must push on. We must push the button. We must say, like Council Isaac Asemaka says, we must bang the tables. It shouldn't stop. Yeah. I also want to stand in solidarity with everyone who has gotten problems, those that have lost their loved ones. I know that death is compulsory, and everyone will meet that fate. So, whatever the case, that's the only way. That's why our president, His Excellency Robert Sentamu Kyagulanyi, has a song. He said that most people want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die. There is no escape route. You must die at one time.
Hey, but let's die at 100 instead of dying before seeing a different Uganda. So there's something that is pertinent. You talk about the people who have been incarcerated, who have been there for years. One would say, why are they even there? But you've mentioned those, but there are people who are still missing. I'll talk about one that I'm sure of, is Chibalama, who the Prime Minister of this country actually said that we have Chibalama. 5 years, 6 years down the road, Chibalama is nowhere to be seen.
You see, my brother, even when we talk about Chibalama, it's because he has a big name. There are people who have been incarcerated for a longer time, and they have been kept incommunicado by this government. But just because there is no follow-up on them. But you can even imagine, for a case like that one, where the Prime Minister came on floor of Parliament and pronounced herself that we have him in custody.
On record, yes.
On record. It is even unanswered. But later you find there are several incidences where I have seen her denying the same. So that's where I think when you have a tyranny in the country, such things you cannot escape them. So we have several people that some of which we don't even know, because, for example, as NUP, it has a lot of supporters as a party. And some of them, you may not even know that they are arrested, apart from a few people that you know, maybe they are held incommunicado somewhere, when it is just even amorphous, because you may not even have the true destination of where people are kept, of where people are taken, of where a lot is done here. And this only necessitates that everyone comes sober and they wake up one day. Of course, this country deserves to be liberated.
Exactly. But you say these things, but it actually speaks a lot about our politics generally. Why is it that when you're contesting with someone, these things have to happen? You've heard of sentiments that Chagulanya Sabana Babandi, Zemba Nebuza, kati oyo abeera taye tuba tumugamba ki, because obeera blaming is only victim. I don't know, what does that speak of our dispensation and our generation, especially today, and how Uganda is looking like, sir?
I think one of the few statements and the analogies used by people is just blackmail. But actually, when people die, it's not that someone is commanding them to die, or someone like, for example, regime apologists will come out and say, Bobby has killed so and so. But people sacrifice. I am telling you, we are in a country where people are living badly. We are in a country where a hawker is gotten with a board of with a capital of over 30,000 and is taken to KCC court and is asked to pay a penalty of 300,000. You can imagine someone with capital of 30,000.
I think that you're saying dollars. Those are $10. 30,000 shillings.
Yes,
$10.
yes.
Yeah.
For example, these hawkers on the road. You think they have so much capital there? They don't have the capital.
So one is.
But it doesn't even. You see, it beats even common sense.
Yes, sir.
You don't even need rocket science for you to know that one who is running a business of 30,000 as capital cannot even have 60,000.
Exactly.
But they are given penalty of 300,000, and I am telling you, now they are thrown into incarceration, and before you know, they are in Luzira for over 3 years. I've been in Luzira. You find someone languishing in prison, but the only crime they committed and the penalty to why they are still there is because they have failed to get 50,000, 50 Uganda shillings, 50 Uganda shillings, 50,000 Uganda shillings. Yes. That's how worse it is. You find people are living in, for example, people who are the town dwellers. Of recent, we had, for example, the artificial floods. I am telling you, there are people who cannot sleep in their houses. Yeah. I call them artificial because they are not naturally made. It's because of lack of grand plan, lack of zoning, lack of, engineers, the technocrats are not doing what they are supposed to do. You find...
Does Uganda love its people? Because you are painting a gloomy picture of how Uganda is.
Now that's that's a question whether we love the country, or even if the motto still stands that is for God and my country. Because for cities that are in our line, for example, in developing country,
in developing countries. For example, Kenya.
Yes, sir.
When you go to Kenya, there is a plan. You see, when you have the poor people in the city, you don't kill them. Like the people who were sarcastic came out and said, we are, I heard of city something, modern city something, you know. But in Kenya, there is zoning, proper zoning. For example, when you go to the area called Karen, that's where the Raila Odingas stay, the Uhuru Kenyatta's, the current president, that's where they stay, the posh people, like the Rutos.
Yes, sir.
You go to Westlands, where there are posh apartments. Yeah, you know that the middle class incomes, those who follow in the middle class, they can rent there. You can stay there, you know, in a good furnished, fully furnished apartment. Then there is the other side where the students stay. The students of the University of Nairobi. Some of them stay in the ghettos. Then when you go to Kasarani, there are those of us who stay there in Kenya. When we go to Kenya, there are those of us who stay there. And it is about planning for the city. You can have everyone, because we are not equal, just like you see these fingers. We have never been equal, and we shall not be equal, but we can be accommodated in the same country. For a country that loves its people,
Because
it can
that's
plan,
why I was asking,
it
does
can plan
that
for
country
them.
love you? Does your country love you? Do you feel loved?
If General Museveni and his cabal, for example, if they had an opportunity to dig a hole where all Ugandans, all poor Ugandans can fit, they can bury us at one day, because they don't care about this country. They don't even care about the aftermath of when they leave, because it is self-explanatory that age is against them, nature. They are going to die. But where do they live there? For example, families, they don't even think about them. So some of the, there are sometimes I think surely that maybe, for example, we used to get these Cuban doctors. You remember there is a time when you used to get Cubans everywhere. Sometimes I am forced to think that we have Cuban leaders that are not originally from here, but they have used the chance to become leaders, and one of the things they are doing is to milk this country. And I want to tell you, and I want to assertively assert that this country is rich, because I am telling you goons, I don't even want to use such words, but sometimes I may not even avoid it. But this country has been looted so heavily. But you can imagine, that's why the missionaries, some of them called it the Pearl of Africa, the banana country. And that's why we are blessed as a country. But we need to rise up, we need to fight and at least liberate what we still have.
Okay, maybe a quick one on the 20 million cash bail of Council Aaron Kiza. You reiterated on it. This money is too much, sir. It's too much, but what does it also speak of? If a judge can give a fellow lawyer, because you can ideally say a judge is also a lawyer, you give a fellow lawyer such a bail. What do you think of it?
You see now, you see these, for example, courts were supposed to act or work independently. And of recent, you saw General Museveni appointing judges in the High Court, over 7 of them on
And
probation.
the court
What does that insinuate to the people? What does it show you? That for one who is, for example, if a judge is appointed on probation, it means that that judge is supposed to appease whoever the appointing authority. That is it. Period. So are they independent? Do they even decide on what to do? It is not even about whether a fellow lawyer is before the judge. No, it's not that. It's the orders. Where does he get the audacity to do that?
I get you.
Yeah, they are not independent. Some of them are on gun points, you know.
But that's why people should
there are
get
cases
justice.
I have seen. There are cases I have seen that while the court is still going on, we go for a break. Court is adjourned for a few moments for him to receive a call to get instructions.
That's a stereotype. It's just
but yeah,
it's
it
what
is
you
happening.
think.
No, it is happening.
That he
I
has
have
to-
been to court, my
so
brother.
he has to get a verdict from
I am an
another person.
activist. I
Yes,
am an
sir.
activist, and I have been to court several times. I know that this really happens. You know, it happens. I am telling you, courts are not independent. And I want to tell you, and I want to tell the public and you, our valuable viewers, that courts are on trial. That's what Nelson Mandela said during apartheid, that while you are trying me, you the courts of law, you the lawyers, you are also on trial. The courts are on trial. No, they are not independent. So whoever is sarcastic, saying that maybe it is witch hunt, who has an interest in that? You know? One, the moment that you mention of a cash bail, and you know that there are most of the most of the courts that are normal even give non-cash bails, but to the extent that now this is an instruction that every activist, for example, Counsel Aaron Chiza is not just any other lawyer. He's an activist. He's a rebel lawyer. Actually, that is the title, the analogy we can use. Is a rebel lawyer, which qualifies him to be an activist. You know, he's not just a lawyer.
He's defending activists.
Yeah, he's a human rights activist, and so one, it is also a kind of a way of intimidating. That while you are thinking to come to the streets, while you, the lawyers, you want to join Aaron Chiza, first check your wallet. Do you have the 20 million? Do you have the 10 millions?
The ULS president, Semakade, is actually,
he's in exile.
There is an arrest warrant.
Yeah, he's in exile. He wouldn't be arrested if he was here. He's still in exile.
Everybody is running. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's the climax we can reach.
Okay.
Yeah, when all systems cannot work, when no one is safe in a country, this is not only happening here, but we would pick a leaf from a country like Zimbabwe. Yeah, during Robert Mugabe, where he left the country, that they can reach a time that actually they may lose stock of only toilet papers. And if someone is coming, for example, from Cape Town, then someone calls, can you bring me toilet papers? Wow. In Zimbabwe today, people cannot bank in their own country. People are banking in South Africa.
You can't trust.
That's what Thailand do to their country. They break the country, they break, all institution is down and it cannot work. It can be frozen. That's where we are heading to. That at one time, courts will not be working. Actually, for me, I anticipate that at one time we shall have people committing crimes. You are gotten by police, taken by police to prison without going through the court, the proper channels. It is happening.
You're still watching the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. I am with David Musiri. He is from the National Platform. David, how is NUP now? I looked at your political candidate, Chagulanyi, is in London. He has been advocating a lot, and he has assured the country that he's going in for an election. David, why do you enter a sham election when you already know the results? Many people have said that there's violence, it's always there. There are unfree and fair elections. You have been robbed. You saw what even happened in Kawempe North. In that win, you took it, but it was a hard-taken win itself. The voter turnout was low. People were arrested. The candidate was violently arrested. Journalists beaten. But we are gearing up for an election, and David Musiri also wants to come as Member of Parliament. Why?
I have said it, and I'll repeat it here, that for a country that, and for a system, and for a party like NUP that has taken the non-violent means, not the armed means, like Museveni did in 1980, it has only one other window that is left, is for us to go for an election. And still I want to assertively assert that very many tyrannies world over have been answered either before elections, during elections, and after elections. And I want to tell you, my brother, it is very, very, actually everyone should advocate for us to go in this election. And most importantly, when today we are having civic education out there, and also making awareness in any way, in any form and any format we can for a protest vote 2026. That is what this country deserves for.
What do you mean?
You just said recently, what happened in a by-election in Kawempe? It was a protest vote, without
What's a
doubt.
protest vote? What do you mean by a protest vote?
For example, let me break it from, as I am head of institutions.
Yes, sir.
So, in 2018, what you saw, the landslides you saw, as sweeping all universities, it was a protest vote from the university students. Because we came out and resisted the draconian policies in all universities. I am one of the ringleaders that led from Makerere. And before you knew, because that draconian policy by then, it was the 15% tuition increment. But we know that if a policy, for example, if an evil policy is implemented in one university, most importantly Makerere, it will soon come to Chambogo, it will soon come to MUBS, it will soon come to Guru University, it will go to MUST. Therefore, we were very, 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 very assertive on that we needed all of us to rise and fight these draconian policies. There were very many, around 15 of them. But now, because we resisted and we started speaking on behalf of the voiceless, the only way they can also participate and show their for example, their dissatisfaction is them to show you in a ballot. For example, if it is a secret ballot. That is how they can discipline the government. That is how they can, for example, for students, that is how they can discipline the management.
But ideally, does that...
Not to give them people that they will work with.
Have that power? Does their vote have that power, really?
Of course, why not? In Kawempe, you have just asserted it. We won that election. You think they wanted us to win it? It was a protest vote. Because of all the mayhem that happened, the beating, the brutal arrests, the kidnaps, more so to the journalists like you, what happened?
Yes, sir.
Of course, it put every voter to know their side that they have to vote. That is how a protest vote is created.
Okay, but
these kidnaps, these abductions, of course, they can tantamount to a protest vote.
You are true, but these things have happened. You even assert that in 2021 you were robbed of your elections. Not even just 2021, even in Kayunga, you were robbed of your election. The vote of that one inch, that one person. Besigye has decried the same phenomenon. Does the vote really have power if, by the track record we are seeing, like it's ceremonial in nature? It is subjective. It has those that it can filter, but there is one person who has been not shaken by that vote. And he even says a piece of paper cannot do anything.
It doesn't matter what General Museveni says. The fact remains that tyrannies have been answered either before elections, during elections, and after elections. So the constant there is one. that while you are in a election process, because an election is not a one-day event, it is a process. And being a process, there are always triggers that will come on the way. So how you use an advantage of a trigger that comes, that is what is very important. So it doesn't, you know, we cannot keep on lamenting that, for example, the other election was stolen, this one was stolen. What is important, how are we prepared for this election? Because you may find in an election, there is a presidential candidate who is nominated, for example, just like His Excellency Robert Sentamu Kyagulanyi was nominated on 3rd of November 2020. And again, there was tendencies of abduction of a candidate who has just been nominated on the ground.
It was not a tendency, they actually abducted him.
Actually, they abducted him.
The suits were torn.
Yes. My suit,
and this
actually
is a
my
presidential
coat.
candidate.
But let me tell you,
yes.
But that's what is important. And what is interesting, are we prepared for that? That, for example, it happened in the past. Because I am telling you, just like the one wise man said, that it is not really true that it is history that repeats itself. But it is the fools that keep on doing the same mistakes. I am telling you, we can come to the date when they are going to nominate the candidates and still people want to abduct that candidate. So what is important? Are you prepared for such a situation? I am telling you, there is a time when we were in the trail. There is a time, if you remember, when Ashraf Kasirye, a journalist, was shot in Masaka.
Yes.
We are coming to town. And my brother Senteza was shot dead. Actually was knocked by a UPDF car. So in case you are ready and the population is ready, don't you think you can, that is enough trigger for you to take over and liberate a country? That is what all you need for an election, because sparks will come. Triggers will come in an election. But I am asking you, as we are going for 2026 elections, are you ready? Do you have members of parliament who are in that these guys are just supposed to be commanders? Not because they are selfish, they want to go to parliament.
Okay, Commander Musiri, the commanders are in Uganda, one would say.
Yes.
You don't have candidates sometimes in remote areas of this country. You don't have people, agents on some constituencies. Aren't you just outrightly lying to Ugandans about liberating the country?
I want also to ask you the same question. Have you ever seen, because this country has been liberated, or there have been a lot of coups even, you know, several times. Has it ever happened in Gulu?
No.
Did we have it in Mbarara? It happens here. Then you should be wise. Why we? So whoever is.
Yeah, but
no. Let me tell you.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want to liberate this country, you must have Uganda.
You already have it.
I am telling you. That's why we have to go for this battle for one last time. For one last time, we are going to liberate this country because we shall have all the commanders. So you mean when you, for example, because let me tell you, you know the misconception that people have. People think that another violence is not a war. While we know that in a war we have battles. But I am telling you, when you take the route of non-violence, it is also war in making. It needs strategic plans. It needs strategic planners. We must have commanders. We must have commanders on board. Yes. There are a lot of things I cannot actually explain here, but
let's look at the track record. In Kasese, you were beaten hands down as the NUP.
What do you mean hands down?
The first candidate got 15,000 votes, the second, and both were NRM, got 12,000 votes. NUP got around 700 votes. In Omoro, you were beaten in the by-election. I'm talking about the by-elections. In Dokolo by-election, in Hoima by-election. That shows that when you go in the different areas of the country, it does not feel like they are welcoming the National Unity Platform. Do you think there are some things that you are doing wrong, or there are some things that you need to do to at least change this track record that we are seeing here?
Now when you talk about those by-elections,
yes,
for example, there are incidences that everyone may not even need me to explain. For example, there have been votes have been rigged. We have had, for example, the machinery of the state in these constituencies.
Somewhere
actually even abducting.
No, somewhere one by
but
UPC,
didn't you see Akena fighting with the Tango Doi when they wanted to rig in his own home area? It is also, you see, it is also natural that, for example, NUP cannot be strong in all areas. Don't you know that, for example, NRM is more strong in the West?
So they say.
And UPC is more strong where?
In the north.
Not
Lango,
the whole north.
Lango.
In Lango, sub-region.
Yes.
Then why would someone castigate NUP for being strong in Buganda?
It's not castigating.
No, I am telling you because that is
actually asking how do you, because you cannot liberate this country alone as Buganda or as having this region. You know that you always have to ally with people. You need another region or regions to join you. My question is, what is the plan to have those regions on board? Because it has at least shown in the last 5 years that you've been in operation that some regions you don't have them. And one would say it's normal and okay. How do you bring these people on board? As we also start the
for me that statement would make more sense if, for example, we knew that elections are free and fair. But for one to say that we don't have those regions, anyway, of course, we are working towards that. That's why there is, for example, in 2026, there is much hope that we shall have several candidates come together to form one platform for them. That actually will help us. For example, whoever is strong in the north comes on board. Those who are strong in the west, they come on board. That's what this country needs. For example, you see, alliances happen in politics. We can copy from Kenya, for example. Towards elections, there are alliances. That is the importance of alliances.
I'm waiting for Kyagulanyi to ally because I feel, and this is my personal opinion, that Kyagulanyi just needs people to connect with, have Besigye on board, maybe have Mugisha Muntu, have other political players on board.
That's it, because if you have Besigye on board, you'll have the Rukungiri, you have Kigezi region. Yes. Then when you have, for example, Akena, you'll have the Lango sub-region. Everyone, if you have, for example, Poa, you would have the Teso region.
Why don't we have that?
You see, there is no rocket science. And that's why we are always fighting to get that. But do you know, I don't want to go back to the narration. For example, if you want to get together, then the state, of course, that is the work of the state. To divert, to infiltrate, but also to divert and also to... Witch hunt is there. So we pray that comes to, it becomes a success, and probably we can have a beautiful country after 2026.
I hope so. Someone has just commented that the English is too much. We shall try to reduce. David Musiri Oluganda asobola okuba butinda kyemmanyi.
Nze ndi musajja waawano, ndi musajja Muganda.
Naye abali bazala aba NUP nti tebamanyi Luzungu nooza bakakasiza nti abasajja musomye muti ebintu mubiti. Do you know there's a narrative? Have you realized there's a narrative they want to brand NUP? It's a gangs, bayaye. There is a brand they want to brand NUP. If you have realized it,
I can tell you, whoever thinks that NUP we are having goons, it's not true. We are having diplomats, people who can articulate issues, and I am telling you, some of us are learned.
Exactly.
For example, I did telecommunication engineering recently. I just graduated, Bachelor of Commerce.
Wow.
if you need a finance minister in this country, 2026, I am here. If you need the governor of Bank of Uganda, yeah, those of us are there. And that's why we can appropriate for each, even the budget.
You started these university elections, especially guild elections, and you are winning. There's a new phenomenon you're not winning. In Busitema University, we have Kotaki William. He's independent. He's not on your side. It's the same thing as UCU. Even at MOOBS, your candidate is not winning. What's not
so winning? Who is winning? Before you say I'm not winning, who is winning? You think who is winning?
Tell me who is winning.
It is Mr. Winning.
I get you, but please.
Yes, because let me tell you, we started winning, or we have been winning in all various universities.
Yes.
So, for example, I would put a case study like Makerere University, where we have been sweeping that university. But in 2022, the university, government and council, led by Magara, comes up with a statute of non-partisanship. You know, you see, it was implemented in Makerere University, but it went countrywide. So, and it is actually, let me tell you, it is only one university today. It is Mbarara University, where we have a candidate for NUP and a candidate for NRM. There are only two candidates. If I lose Mbarara must, then you can able tell me that we have lost as NUP.
And I saw
but where the government is praying hide and seek, the Ulu Baru, the Kurikum Kurankum, hide and seek everywhere, saying that now, for example, for Makerere, they say, in addition to that statute they brought, they said now, for example, still in the statute, that when you look at clause 7, they are saying the electoral commissions and the elections will be virtual. In this era, at Makerere University, the one we refer to the Harvard of Africa, students are there physically, and you want them to vote virtually. Wow. Does that make sense?
It does not for me.
So who is scared? They are only scared of NUP. They are only playing, I'm telling you, they are doing the hide and seek. But still, students are very clever. For example, by the way, even Mutesa here, we had a candidate, our flag bearer was not nominated. We went to Chambogo. We had two candidates. We had the flag bearer. They ran the electoral process for over some 2 months, closed it off, came back for fresh nominations. The candidate, the flag bearer of NUP, was not nominated. But we are just brave that still we had our candidate there, and our candidate won.
Even in Chambog, I think a couple of years I hosted one guild president who has refused to use NUP as a symbol.
Yeah.
They told him, you are not going to put NUP there, but students still voted that gentleman. I'm forgetting his name, but
Mbazira Senior.
Yes,
yes.
I hosted him.
For only just having a barret.
Yeah, they refused. But
and he's one of the guild presidents that won an election without having a photo.
Yeah, exactly. That was
it was so the government has been battling with the institutions, but we are so powerful that even when you think that students are not voting for NUP, actually people are voting for NUP.
That's what I was
because we are the only option, and we are with the oppressed. Students are oppressed, I am telling you.
All the candidates that are in the race are NUP. Do you mean that when they don't vote for NUP, they vote for NUP? Are you meaning that all candidates that you find in these races are always affiliated to your party, but just one has the flag? What do you mean?
It's not true that all candidates are affiliated to NUP. You find, of course, the weak candidates coming from NRM, some few come from other parties. But the reality for any sober-minded student is always affiliated to NUP because they are oppressed. You find the government students. You see, for one to be aligned to NUP, it's understandable that right now as we speak, all students' freedoms are curtailed. Even when the constitution, because we have the supreme law of the country, the supreme law of the country is the constitution of Uganda, which says in Article 29, 1D, that there is freedom of association and freedom of assembly, yes, which actually gives us a real way for us even to peacefully demonstrate, to protest. But that today, it is like a very big crime, a very big offense. Yes, sir. That when you found doing one of that, you actually suspended, and you have been seeing suspension letters flowing from all corners. Yes, sir. Most importantly, Makerere by Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, Nirira University, they suspended actually speaker. In Guru, they have suspended students. There are those who are now even still from 2018, there are students in Guru who are still appearing to courts of law just because of the fees must fall that I led. Up to date, they are still appearing to court. Court is tossing them. But that is only to intimidate the other students that are watching out there, that don't dare touch. That's why you have seen students' leaders are becoming mere puppets of the management. You find there is one who is actually supposed to be a guild president, but he's only doing things for a head prefect or an head boy. You see, there is a difference why one is called a guild president and one is called an head boy or head prefect. Because for an head prefect even pretends over parades of sanitation. You check the names. That's what is coming to the university. They're about to give them...
They are winning. They are winning.
Who is winning?
The system, if you're saying that it's doing this, it's manipulating, it's caballing these kids or these student leaders. So that means they're actually winning at that.
Let me tell you, when a government is oppressing and curtailing students, does not win. Of course, it wins for some time.
In the moment.
For a moment. But if people realize how Gen Zs came in, starting from Kenya, it was because of the oppression from the governments of Kenya, that during the Babua Winos, while he was guild president at the University of Nairobi, he used to protest, and from him they suffocated the students, crippled them that they couldn't even speak out. But the big and the good results, it was the Gen Zs. I was part of the Gen Zs when I went to Kenya because of evicting these people from Rubiji. I went and supported them, trained them, some of them, gave them skills, because we have a cabal, we have a clique.
How did you survive not being whisked here?
not being whisked. You see, even when I was there, I treated, and they saw me on the street. So for me, I knew that it is going to gain momentum. By the way, it is not what people think. On the first day, we were supposed to hit Parliament. But because of the deployment, you know, they even got the machinery from Uganda. Yeah, the people who shot actually Kenyans were not Kenyans. They were Ugandans from SFC here. But for me, my importance there, our prudence, and because of experience, and experience is the best teacher, I told them that whatever you are seeing now, that is what happens in Uganda. That is how they try to curb you out. That is how they try to intimidate you. So we did not, we couldn't go to the parliament, but there is nation building. And that's why it is good for a city to be well planned. When you look at that nation building, there are escape routes. It's not like Kampala here. In Kampala here, you can be rounded up very, very easily. In Nairobi, it's not the case. You can survive in the city of Nairobi, I am telling you. whatever strong deployment, because they had a heavy deployment, but we would survive the first day. Because once you fail to survive the first day, you cannot have the second day. So
you were learning something.
So the war gains momentum after battle after battle.
Wow.
Yes.
In one of these elections, Moobs, Bobby Wine's nephew, Chairman Nyanzi's son, you did not give him a ticket. And you remember as we were starting, I said, you are bringing something, the non-usual politics. Nobody saw this coming.
What do you mean by saying that we did not give him a ticket?
He did not have a ticket for the National Unity Platform. He did not stand on that ticket, did he?
Because he couldn't win the ticket. First of all, we must understand who gives the ticket.
Who gives the ticket?
We started with modules, because in an election you must have a module on how to arrive to a candidate. So the first module we had, it was for delegates. In a university of over 40,000 students, you get around, of course, in Makerere and Chambogo and Master and Gulu, we started with over 50 to 75 delegates. So the 75 delegates decide for who to become the flag bearer. And these delegates must be students, not, for example, today, I am no longer a student. I am not a voter, therefore. Whether in primaries, I don't even decide. I am only there to pretend, to observe, to supervise what these young people, young men, women of valor and men of valor can do. So what do? We used to have that module, and somehow we saw that this module is somehow infiltrated. Because when you are dealing with General Museveni, a dictator like him, you must know that it will somehow get to be infiltrated. So when we got to know that it is infiltrated, we changed the module. At one time, we started even vetting, the way you see we do at the headquarters. One, we could have the vetting, then have the debates. The debates that you saw in the last by-elections, yes. We have had them severally as institutions in all universities. And our party leaders have always been there. They have bought time to be there. The Secretary General, David Lewis Lubongoya, the spokesperson of the party, either it is Joel Senyonyi or Waiswa Mufumbiro, we have always had them, and plus the presidents of various regions. So now we had that also. But then we said we need to be very practical, because for a party that listens from their members, we had proposals, and therefore we had the recommendations and resolutions. Okay. Therefore we said, now, this is what the students are requiring. Because you know, even the students, they are mafias. So you would find that if you have 50 or 75 delegates, you would have a mafia cabal, a clique of people, because there are several cohorts. So when this cohort is out of the university, it leaves marks there. Yes. So they will still man those elections. So yes. they can even supersede. So you find a candidate is in the race. Then what they do, they take these delegates, for example, to a certain hotel, lock them out, feed them. Then you only see them when they are coming to vote. Yeah, you see, you know what happens in all other elections, yes, that are not open. So we said now, for example, students started complaining and said now we said now what we can do is to increase the sample space. So when you increase the sample space, for example, we used to have, as I said, 75 to 100. But imagine that you are operating in a university that has over 40,000 stakeholders in this election. Yes. So therefore it was challenging. Therefore we said, let's increase the sample space. Let us have every student who is actually a member. One should be a member of NUP, but two should be a student. Yes. So we could, for example, this very case study you were talking about of Makerere, we had over 2,200 students.
In that sample?
Yeah, to have that election.
That's good.
But it was just unfortunate that by the time we had this election, it is the very time that our party was raided. It was the very time when our party leaders were abducted, like even his father. It is the very time. So you remember, there was a lot of fear and intimidation. But remember, because of, again, the statute, which actually stopped and all of party activities, because now students are supposed to be non-partisan, so you cannot have any activity at Makerere. So now we resorted to have activities. There's several activities, for example, the debates, the elections at the headquarters, at the same time that headquarters was under siege.
Yes, I know.
Now, there are a few students who were intimidated. That over 2,000 students, 2,200, it is only 600 students that turned up. And, you know, when you had a sample space of 2,000 students and then 600 students come up, you see someone can start now to think about what happened. But still, it is not our mistake as the party. It is only you. Are you strong enough to convince the 600 to vote for you?
Yeah, because it's the ones that are available.
They are available, and it is the students that voted.
Exactly.
So therefore, he was voted out. And the reason why maybe he was voted out, it would have been actually a protest vote also. Because one, they know that, for example, he was stronger, he's the son of the mobilizing secretary, his uncle is the president of the party, then students can defy. They can say, now let us challenge. Actually, some people started, there were rumors, and some people were telling me that someone is disguising, is purporting to be already that he has the flag. So sometimes students can challenge you that anyway we have the voting rights.
They wanted to make a statement.
And they made it.
Yes, they did.
And one of the things why I'm telling you it is still students voted for NUP because they still knew. One, it was also a strategy because the president emeritus, Nsamba, he did not do well to the students. And somehow even the students had hatred on the flag bearers. And Nsamba did not come from anywhere. He came from somewhere. That this man was an activist. He had a lot of support in the university. Later betrayed the students. Of course, he did a few things for the students. But in the line of politics, in the line of the political ideology, he adopted the one of Museveni. At one time, you saw the statement, when he said that he would want the general to come and lecture. One who is crippling this country. So, it is a grand strategy also.
I get you.
That students wanted someone, because they knew one time that maybe he could be one, because of the several disqualifications. Maybe students thought that this candidate of theirs would be disqualified. And it is also a trick that, for example, if you have a weaker flag bearer in the race, he will not be disqualified. While there is a statute that there is non-partisan, but if you dare bring a weak flag bearer, it will be left in the race. And for me, that flag bearer is important because it's an mobilizing tool.
Yes. When they look at him, they're seeing NUP.
Yeah, they are seeing NUP. So it is very important. But also, we have also learned how to live with the dictator. That while you have this flag bearer, you have the plan B there.
Okay. David Musiri, member of the National Unity Platform and head of institutions in that political party. You have 20 minutes to end this particular program, but you're still watching the Mighty Drive show. And this is Digitalk TV. We're always here every Monday to Friday. We start at 8 up to 10 a.m. having a conversation with this country, and we hope that Uganda can be a better place. David Musiri, you are coming for Member of Parliament back in the West constituency. I'm your voter. So you have to first convince me. That's a joke. But my question is, Kachiteke mu Uganda, constituency no liberated. Because munjogera yamwe. Alan Sewanya na wali. Awereza bana Uganda. Kuva dane ku myaka jaba kusaini chanjo. It was liberated. Kiki Sewanya na kyakoze kyatakoze gwe kyogenda okukola. One would say, why are you competing against your mate? He's your colleague, comrade. There is no need for you to compete against him. Why are you doing it?
When you say the constituency is liberated, I may not get you well.
Liberated NUP. It's already
because
NUP.
you want to mean that because we have had Nsambu here, who was very articulate, who was very vocal. One of the main roles of a member of parliament is to speak for the voiceless. Actually, one, to be vocal, to communicate what his people in a constituency, to be felt in parliament. But we had in Nsambu. Nsambu was good, but Chanjo came. And ideally now you can still mention him because a new blood came. The same is coming this time. Because, for example, I want to tell you that these are abnormal situations which need abnormal people like Musiri David. Very abnormal. I told you while we were commencing the meeting, the show, I told you, this time around we need commanders, not just mere leaders. We need servant leaders, not just politicians. So I want to tell you that one of the things why I am was abantu basabye twogere ku Luganda. Naye ebimu ku bintu byenzize okukiikirira kansooke nkiise mu Luzungu. One of the inspirations that I have in my heart that I can add to this nation, because I have observed that parliament, that actually parliament has very many good laws.
Yes.
Actually parliament has private members' bills that are pending and everyone is quiet, cannot talk about them. But they are so good. One of them is the corruption, anti-corruption private members' bill. That was brought, I think, in the 9th Parliament by Simbwa. But no one is talking about it. But do you know what it breaks down? That, for example, the corrupt, if he's got, we have to actually sell all his properties that he got from corruption and put back this money, because it is taxpayers' money, back to the reservoir, back to Bank of Uganda, so that it can actually benefit the taxpayers. That is very important. Today corrupt is got, like Mawanda was got, put to jail. I was there when we marched to Parliament. I was there with him. And I used to mock him. I used to mock him in Ruzira. And he comes out from Ruzira as if he's a celebrity. Actually, when you were corrupt in Uganda, you are waiting for a promotion. That's not true. Look at a country like Burkina Faso. All of us were talking about Thomas Sankara. At some time, people started even doubting whether actually ladies or our mothers still produce people like Thomas Sankara in Africa, whether our ladies or mothers still produce people like Patrice Lumumba of Congo, produce people like Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. But today, we have Ibrahim Traore from Burkina Faso. Is the current Thomas Sankara. That gives me.
I don't trust soldiers, though, for me.
No, he's not just a soldier. My brother is not just a soldier. Museveni got corrupted.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
He just got corrupted by dictatorship, I am telling you. But while he was coming, he's one of the people who said that actually the problem of Africa are the leaders that
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. For me, I'm saying let's first judge Traore. After 10 years, Musiri, the good thing we still have the benefit of age, as you said. Me and you can come back and have a conversation, because I feel men with guns always turn around. They turn around.
But we have had precedents where men in uniform have not turned around. So you want to judge even Thomas Sankara that he turned out? He was there 4 years.
Exactly. That we cannot.
That's why someone doesn't. That's the real thing, that for one to do well, they don't need to be there over more than 2 terms.
Let's come back. Yeah, Sewanyana has been in parliament for now. This is the 2nd term. You've talked about abnormal. You said.
One, I told you that they are good laws.
Leaders, but this man you're talking about was incarcerated for years recently over purported allegations of Bijambia in massacre. He even lost his friend and colleague, who right now we've buried, Honorable Girinya Muhammad. What else would qualify as sacrifice, if not that?
I am telling you that, that's why I was telling you. For you now, you are speaking as one who is in normal circumstances. I am telling you that this country needs liberation, needs people who are vocal. I told you that in that parliament, there are good laws. Listen, in that parliament, there are good laws. But what is missing in that parliament is people that can actually put them in practice. That while there is a corruption bill, who can raise it? You mean all the 5 years, Sewanyana has been inspired? He has
incarcerated for 3 years.
No, not even 2 years. For 2 years. So you mean he came back without his mouth? Without his head? Is he sick?
He was sick.
Even if he was not even put in under incarceration, we would still have a candidate against him.
Yeah.
Because one, the roles of a member of parliament are very clear. Are very clear. So for you to say that, for example, we are not talking about sympathy here. If we were talking about sympathy, Russo would be the member of parliament that would be in parliament, because he was a personal assistant to Segirinya. But today we have Nalukola.
But also that it also matters in politics.
It matters in politics that is.
You have seen people give sympathy votes.
That's why I was telling you, for sympathy votes only works in normal circumstances.
If you're not given a ticket of NUP, will you still stand?
But why wouldn't I be given a ticket?
Because it's a democracy.
Last time,
let's say it's a democracy, as you claim, and the filter, the sieve has said you're not getting the ticket, we are giving it to another person. Are you going to still come back and contest, or will you respect what the party has said?
Of course. I have been loyal to the party. No one is very loyal than me. Last time I didn't get the party card and I didn't come. I even supported the one you were sympathizing with. Even when there is an agreement between me and him that I am coming.
My producer should put you on spot, because this video will be very relevant.
I am telling you that I've been loyal to the party. And that's why I qualified to be a NEC member. I am one of the NEC members in the National Unity Platform. In 2021, I lost the party ticket. I conceded and even supported the one who got the party ticket. So, if you have read in the Bible, there are these two girls or two mothers who were sleeping in the same room. One slept off and, of course, somehow the kid died. And the other one had the one alive and was in deep sleep. So she exchanged the babies.
Yes.
Gave the dead one to the mother of the live and took the other. But when King Solomon came, said, I want to cut it short, said that, of course he called a man like Edmutwe, bring the axe and we cut this kid. Then the one who did not own the baby said, no, it's very okay.
Let me take a half.
Bamutememu, nze ntwala ekitundu n'oli atwala ekitundu. Oyo si yenze, nzikiriza nti lwakiri omwana abeere mulamu.
Kukirekera n'ogamba kusewanya nankuwadde.
Even when there are, for example, agreements that I am supposed to come in 2026. But if, because there are no new entrants, we are not going to be me and Sewanya. There are very many people. You see the card of NUP, once it is given for you, it is just one term. So whoever is saying now the constituency is liberated, that's not part of our constitution. So our constitution gives a member of parliament the ticket one term. You have to come back and go to the same process. If you are viable, then you'll get it. So the other question is of sympathy will be to the EMC, okay, not to me.
Okay, good. What do you have for us as Makindye West? What do we expect from David?
As a born of Makindye, I think I best understand Makindye more than any other person.
You were born here.
Yeah, and I basically believe in mostly, for example, robbing. The nature of this constituency, it is with a lot of studios, so you have to think about the musicians, the talents.
Makindye, yeah, very, very true.
Then I am a boxer. But anyway, I even also have a song. Did you know?
I did not.
but also, then you know, you look at clubs, you look at hotels. But for a man who did Bachelor of Commerce or an entrepreneur, what do you think about? For example, I've talked to several stakeholders like Rule of Climax, like Papas here, Mr. Chisemakula, and the other stakeholders in the society. And I realized that actually we can liberate some of the youth from poverty. Did you know that these hotels, they are paying over 500 per month for only garbage? Yeah. But if you have a system and you can organize these youths, actually everyone can have a living. I am saying to Robbie, we know the roles of a member of parliament. No, the roles of a member of parliament are very clear. You know, they are very clear. Kola mateka, appropriation, kutematema budget, it is no zigende wano zigende. Ne no kurobinga na gwo mulimu gwa member of parliament.
Okufunira abantu kati golowooza nti kikujjako bana ino obuntu bwina osigalawo. Nze ng'abadde mu institutions, nze ekimanyi nti member wa parliament alina amaanyi, tewaliwo ssomero lyasobola kugendako n'atasobola kufunayo basale. Bana baffe bangi bava mu ssomero wano lwakuba nti talina amukwatirako. Nze nga member wa parliament kati golowooza nsobola okugenda wa madamu Nalowooza director ayansomesa Makindye SS nanyima basale ng'ate asobola noziwa Buganda ne scholarships. Naye nga this time I come as a member of parliament. Gwe badde okimanyi nti nina abaana bangi benfunira scholarships ne bursaries outside even Makindye, naye ng'ate siri member of parliament. Kati ate we naabeera member of parliament kyekindeeta kubanga ntegeera bamufuna mpola nti bali mu Makindye.
n'abafuna ennyo nabo mwamanyi nti gye bali mu kizungu n'ebuziga naye munyonyo okitegeera nti nabo balina bye baagala okitegeera nti omubaka kati gweoyagala kugamba nti omubaka wamala okukola appropriation n'ategeera nti sente z'oluguudo ezo za salaama bagenda kukola luguudo lukalube nga lukoleddwa local government naki omulimu gw'omulala gubeera ki kugoberera kuteekawo mbeera nti sente ezaateekebwa mu luguudo zikoze luguudo oba baziriddemu amandaazi kikulu nnyo ekyo kyenziza okukola
fete twagala kuteekako bintu byotaakole kubanga oluusi mutusuubiza byemutakole
nkugambye bino ebirala olwedde mbikola wekuba kupromotinga talent zemanyi ez'okuyimba ez'abebikonde ez'emipiira bannabyamizannyo ku mensi oba newalala byonna olwedde mbadde mbikola kati kyenina okugambayo byebyo byendowooza nti ngenda bikolera mu capacity as a member of parliament kati ekyo ekibuuzo wookimbuuza everyone is selfish actually that question is not supposed to be that one is supposed to be asked for like for you a voter. Do you think I am on ground? Ate abalala bagamba n'ebipande tebabiraba naye ate nze bammanyi waliwo omwami omu abadde akola survey eyo yankubidde essimu wa lupapula olumu nagaa nabadde eyo naye nga tulinayo ebipande naye ng'abantu baŋŋamba ekintu kimu ffe twagala Musiri ayingire palamenti twagala kulabako kifaananyi nga baliyo ne bazaake ne bawaiswa mufumbira nga guseka kati ate ekirala nti ffe tubadde ku gurawundi muganda wange mbadde ku gurawundi emyaka kati ngenda mu 7 tewali conversation ebeera wantu wonna tosobola kwogera ku bubaka nga toyogedde ku Musiri waliwo n'olupapula olumu lwakola gundi zaalo ne lutanteekamu naye wogendayo olwaleero n'otunulira comments babagamba ebyo byemukoze tebiriyo kubanga tosobola kwogera ku bubaka bwa Makindi nga toyogedde ku Musiri ate kalina ki kayebayebadda kuki gwo kamanyi kamawulire gaki omusajja yali wakapapula kyoba ogamba kati ate naffe natusiba akapapula naye asobola okuuma omusajja addayo mu mupiira asaagala mwogerera nnyo kubanga simanyi byagenda kukola anyway nze njogera byange nti mbadde tested byenkoze mbikoze bannayuganda babirabye twetaaga tuwa chance tubaweereze mu capacity ey'obubaka bannamakindye era njagala kuddamu nti mundabye nga byonna mbikola mutulabye nga tutambula njagala kubasaba mutuweeyo omukisa gumu bannamakindye tubaweereze nga omubaka wa palamenti Musiri David Bwogi kubanga wano Makindye ebadde entabiro ya byabufuzi nga tosobola kwogera ku byabufuzi nga toyogedde ku Makindye okuviira ddala ku bansambu bakyanjo kati eddoboozi kubanga obubaka ddoboozi naye eddoboozi lyani ery'abantu bo bookiikirira okusooka wadde ng'omubaka tabeera wa constituency eti Makindye yokka naye okusookera ddala wano ewaffe so muneesige tugenda kutambula njagala nnyo okusaasira abo bonna abaatuukiddwako obuzibu n'abo ababadde bansaba nga bagamba wano jangu wano jangu bannange nzija era mbakakasa nti we tunaatuukira okulonda nga buli mulonzi ekitone nnyo mutuuseeko emirundi 6
tweyanziza nnyo oyo ye David Musiri abadde naffe kuba twatandikidde ku ssaawa 2 paka ssaawa zino ndaba walwayo eddakiika emu okuwera essaawa 3 ez'okumakya nze Edgar Mathew Karuhanga mwebale kubanga mutulabye olunaku luno olwaleero nja kuba nabo olunaku olw'enkya ebeera Women Crash Wednesday Mighty Drive ejja kuba ekomawo ku ssaawa 2 zennyini osobola okukebera ku mikutu gyaffe egy'enjawulo ku Digital TV ne ku The Alternative Uganda awo tuli ku Facebook tuli ne ku YouTube byonna bye weetaaga okumanya biri okwo ne ku website yaffe thealternativeuganda.org osobola okuba nga ofuna information eno nja kubala olunaku olw'enkya see you tomorrow same time same station good morning Uganda.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real